Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hamdan wa syukran lillah. It's already late at night. So I would like to first thank our colleagues who are able to make this presentation tonight, especially to Al-Imam Muhammad Shamsi Ali, who is very helpful to this webinar. And of course, Guru Dileepkumar, Thankappan. Thank you. I've been contacting you for a few days before finally I could reach you. And Professor Ann Rusmussen, thank you once again. We met you in our office sometimes ago. And Dr. Hamid Slimi, thank you again. We didn't manage to meet a few months ago when I was in Canada, because I went directly to Montreal rather than going to Toronto, while other colleagues managed to see you in Toronto in the month of October last year. And of course, Rabbi Bob Kaplan, sorry to not being able to get you in this moment. Hopefully in the future, we will be able to be together in this kind of webinar, and maybe in different subjects. And of course, our colleagues, Professor Ismail, Latif, Hacinebioglu. Yeah, thank you very much. We are very close to Istanbul Foundation for Science and Culture, and this is one of the implementation of our MOU. Thank you. Yes, about my topic tonight, actually, it is also about taqwa, righteousness, or fear of God. Yeah, but fear of God, in this case, not to avoid God, but to be close to God. Not like if you fear of something and then you have to avoid that things. Okay, actually, Dr. Suparto has already touched some points that I will elaborate. So basically, I have already examined in the Quran about the meaning of taqwa, and of course, more than 300 words of taqwa in the Quran. But I specifically identify the word of tattaqun or muttaqin, yeah, where we can see the definition of taqwa or righteousness. We can see, for example, in Al-Baqarah, verse 2nd to 5th, and also Al-Baqarah 177, and Ali Imran 134, 135, that already mentioned or elaborated by Dr. Suparto before, and also in Al-Anbiya, verse 48 until 50, and also in Azariyat, verse 15 until 19. From all these verses, I have seen that there are actually 14 elements of taqwa. We know that taqwa is avoiding all bad things and doing all good things. But to me, this is very idealistic. This is also very general. Of course, this is very good. But then I try to see from these verses that there are 14 elements of taqwa. 7 of these actually related to a vertical connection with Almighty God, yeah, and etc. And also 7 related to human relationship, and also human relationship with natures and creatures. So the 7 elements of a vertical relationship with God is believing in God, which is in Surah clearly mentioned in Surah Al-Baqarah 188, Laisal birra antuwallu wujuhakum qibala al-masyriqi wal maghrib walakinnal birra man amana billah. So it is not actually that good if you tend to be Orientalist or tend to be Occidentalist. Yeah, but basically the righteousness is number one is believing in God. Yeah. This is actually shared by all religions. Yeah. Number two, to be brief, is believing in angels, yeah, or goddess or gods, yeah. And all religions share this kind of belief. Even in Islam, we believe in Michael, which is also believed in Christianity and Judaism, and also Raphael. In Islam, we call it Israfil, or angel of Gabriel. Uh, in Islam, we call it Jibril, and also angel of death, and then angel of paradise, angel of hellfire, and angel of in the cemetery. Yeah. So there are 10 angels believed in Islam. These are coordinators of angels, basically, but we believe that probably millions or billions or trillions of angels are provided by God in order to manage all these systems of the universe. And number three is believing in prophets. We believe in Islam, believe that there are 124,000, yeah, prophets or messengers. 303 messengers of God, but only 25 mentioned in the Quran, which are considered as both prophets and messengers of God. And in Islam, we have to believe in these messengers and prophets. We have to believe in Moses. We have to believe in Isaac. We have to believe in Jacob, in Jesus Christ, in Adam, in Eve. All these mentioned in the Holy Scripts, mentioned in Torah, mentioned in Psalm, mentioned in the Gospel, Bible, basically believe in Islam, which is part of the pillars of belief. If a Muslim does not believe in these prophets or messengers or angels, their belief is questionable. It is not sufficient belief. Okay, number four is believing in Holy Scriptures. We believe in Psalm, in Torah, in the Bible, and in fact, many scholars also say that we have to believe also in Tipitaka, or in Veda, or even Analects, or many other local scriptures have been revealed to human beings or prophets before, which are not mentioned clearly in the Quran. And number five is believing in hereafter. So not only here in this world, but we have to believe in hereafter. I think also in Hinduism and Buddhism is the same thing. And of course in Christianity and Judaism, very strong this belief that we have to be responsible for our deeds in hereafter. And number six is prayers, 5-time prayers. We have to do this, and for Muslim, that one at least doing 5 times a day. But number seven, this is also amazing for me, because in the Quran, Az-Zariyat, it is mentioned that one of the principle of taqwa is kanu qalilan minal laili ma yahja'un wa bil ashari hum yastaghfirun. So there only very little time to sleep, but most of the time at night should be awake and also doing istighfar, yeah, istighfar, just takbirun, particularly in Ramadan, sahur, yeah, this is the word of sahur coming from ashar, yeah, it is a plural form of sahur. So to me, these are 7 elements which are very important, as I call it, vertical communication with God and, let's say, angels and prophets, messenger, and of course revelation and prayers, by both nighttime prayers and 5 times prayers at least, because there are also obligatory and also some instructive or recommended prayers we call sunnah qabliyah or ba'diyah. And the other one, which is more horizontal communication, yeah, for the aspect of this righteousness is number one is wa atal mala ala hubbihi dawil qurba wal yatama wal masakin, etc. That we have to share our wealth, our capacities, our belongings, our things that we have, that we can share to others, our human fellow human beings. So we have to share. So don't some wealth that we have to give to others. Yeah. Of course, there are very detailed in the Quran about the classification of this sharing. We call it almsgiving or sadaqah or donations, etc., etc. And the most important thing that we have to provide first to our close family, close relations, nuclear family or extended family or our neighbors. And number two is to be always committed to promise. Yeah, we have to fulfill our promise. This is very important to become righteousness. Wal mufuna bi ahdihim iza ahadu. You have to fulfill your promise if you already have promised others. Number three, patience. I think also Dr. Hans already mentioned this one, and also Guru Dileepkumar also mentioned this one. Dr. Shamsi Ali also mentioned this one. The importance of patience. Wasabirina fil ba'sai wa dharra'i wa hinal bas. But in Islam, there are three levels of patience. Number one is during, for example, this coronavirus disease. Now we have to be patient against this one, this disease. And also, once you have sickness, for example, if you get sick. And number three, if you are working so hard, for example, now we're staying awake. This is we need patience. Yeah. Some of our colleagues already left because probably they have something to do. No, doesn't mean that they are not patient, but of course, probably they have to do something else. Okay, number four is controls one emotion. In the words of Dr. Suparto, he mentioned that self-control. Yeah. So someone has to control one's emotion. Yeah. Not to get upset. But of course, in Islam, sometimes we need to get upset if someone is doing wrong and then he's stubborn. But the way Prophet Muhammad got upset is not like highly emotional and then get angry severely to others and then make other people really unease. Number five is forgiving others. This is very important. Wal afina anin nas. Yeah, controls one's emotion. Before was wal qadimin al ghaida, and the number five is forgiving others. Wal afina anin nas. And number six is not repeating bad things that he or she knows that this is good, this is bad, this is wrong. Yeah. In the Quran, it is said that walam yusirru ala ma fa'alu wa hum ya'lamun. And number seven is the last one is ihsan. Ihsan means that not only to do good thing to human beings, but also to all natures, all creatures, whatever in this universe. In addition to God, yeah, we call it in Islam ihsan, that you do services to human beings, to your environment, to the nature, to creature, believing that God is actually noticing you. If you cannot see God, you have to make sure, you have to believe that actually God is noticing you. Okay, so these are very important elements of taqwa, which are to me important classifications. I haven't found any other explanation in the Quran about this definition of taqwa beside these seven places in the Quran. And the last point that I would like to mention regarding this ihsan, I have seen that there are five elements that shows that actually fasting is basically to do good things to other people. This, for example, if you someone is doing umrah, little pilgrimage before main pilgrimage Hajj, someone, he or she has to do the so-called tamattu, yeah. But if you want to do that, you have to slaughter or sacrifice an animal. But if you cannot do that, you have to substitute it with fasting. Yeah, 3 days during the Hajj or pilgrimage and 7 days after coming home. Yeah. And number two is when someone is killing animals during this pilgrimage, and this, the one who kills has to be able to slaughter or sacrifice an animal. Yeah. But if he or she cannot do it, she has to, or he has to also give food to poor people. But if he or she cannot do that, he or she has to substitute it with also fasting. So fasting is actually about humanity. So number three is if someone unintentionally kill others. This is also, he has to sacrifice. Number one, he has to free a slave and also pay to the family of the one who killed. But if he cannot do that, he has to do fasting also, or for 2 months, yeah, consequently, yeah, 2 months, yeah. So number four, this is also very important. If someone is committing to do good things and then he cannot do it, we
She
call it
cannot do that.
swear to swear to do things, and then he or she has to be able to feed poor people, and also if he cannot do that, he can also give clothes to poor people, and if he cannot do that, he has to free a slave. But if he cannot do that, he has to also do fasting. So fasting is, that's why sometimes I say, if you do fasting, for example, if you don't eat during the day, the money that you are using to eat actually should be shared to others who are in need. Yeah. And the last one is about zihar, equalizing your husband or your wife with your father or your mother. If you do that, you cannot sleep with your spouse unless you are able to free a slave. And if you cannot do that, you have to also fast 2 months, yeah, consecutively. So this is one of the evidence that actually fasting, beside Ramadan fasting, uh, that someone has to be able to do good to others, yeah, to be always servicing others in a way that if you cannot do uh, freeing a slave, for example, if you cannot do feeding poor people or giving clothes to other people, you have to be able to substitute it with fasting. So not just for yourself, but actually for others. And this is the importance of fasting in Islam. Khairun nas anfa'uhum linnas. The best human beings is the one who is always able to serve others, to be good to others. So thank you once again. I wish I could be able to explain this further detail, but I think we can also send to everyone. I saw that many of the participants are asking for our material, so I also encourage to our speakers tonight to be able to send us the material in writing if possible. So our colleagues who are attending this seminar are able to see detail the one we have already presented. Thank you once again, and thank you very much to all our speakers tonight. And then on behalf of our university, leaders in the university, I once again thank you very much for this opportunity to be able to share your experience and then your knowledge, and then able to know each other, and then in the future, hopefully, we are going to see face to face, as our rector already mentioned earlier, that one day probably after the coronavirus, we are going to meet face to face in Jakarta in our university. Thank you, Pak Jajang. Thank you, Pak Dadi, who have been working so hard for the last few days. Yeah, and then hopefully by this Ramadan, we will get triple, quadruple, multiple rewards from God, Allah, to be able to access paradise, including our speakers, Dr. Suparto, who is very eloquent in his presentation today. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.